Good evening, folks. This is Diamond from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a Cold Times essay update on January 2nd, Tuesday at 6:39 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Proper prior planning prevents piss-poor performance in a disaster. This is the 7 Ps. It's a military adage coming from the British Army. Proper planning and preparation prevents piss-poor performance. This adage is often used in project planning or when training for life or death situations, like the one we're going into. Now tonight I'm going to read 3 of the first essays that came in to win a copy of Cold Times. The first one is from Tom Dolph. He writes to me, "Dear David, so glad to have found your channel, already armed to the teeth with self-defense. Stocked up with food and water and medicine, seeds, etc. But my crown jewel will be when I convert my jacuzzi into a hydroponic garden. Raising trout in the water and veggies in the fruits above. It will be under a hothouse framework to stave off the frost, rain, and snow. The climate here in Southwest Washington is moderated by our proximity to the Pacific Ocean. And we're next to the Columbia River at 550 feet elevation. Will this area be frozen wasteland in the coming freeze? Tom, I don't think so. It's part of the corridor that stays ice-free during the glacial maximums. So although there'll be massive climatic shifts, extreme periods of drought and rain, you'll be near glacial runoff. So you'll always have fresh water. But you have to watch out for volcanic activity and earthquakes in that area. So you want to be high above sea level and far away from the Cascadia Fault Zone and any volcano. That's a heads up. They're at the 46th parallel, so they shall see. Tom in Southwest Washington State, where God has kissed us with more beauty than anywhere in the world. Let's hope he spares us from freezing to death." Yes, and hearing from, he then says, he's a new convert, and he's been a prepper for many years. But this grand minimum brings a new urgency. Also, add cigarettes and booze to my list for trading. Going to need to be on the barter system for sure, and people are going to need their fix of nicotine and alcohol. A must-have. And coffee, too. Gosh, this list keeps growing. Thanks, David, and keep up the excellent work, Tom. Tom, thanks for taking the time to write to us. So you're just looking at some pictures of what some preppers have in their basements and other areas. A few years' worth of supplies. Water, peanut butter, grains and rice, sugar and jams, canned yams, tuna, sugar, oil, more rice. Look at this. Chocolate and more water and water. They got beans and other vegetables, more dried beans and applesauce, Spam, pasta. It's a pretty basic setup right there. The next article comes from David Young. It says, "Hey, Diamond, I got it in the early 70s when John Denver was singing about sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. I moved from New York to Florida on my 30th birthday in 1975 and 2 years later to Puerto Rico. And after 4 inches of snow fell on Tampa in 2000, I moved to the Dominican Republic, where I live today in a small town named Bacoa, which translates to land of many waters in the Taino language. I own about 150 acres of land over several locations. Several tributaries of the Yaque de Norte River originates on my lands, which range from 1,400 to 2,500 feet in elevation. I have planted 1,500 Caribbean pine trees this year and many thousand more in previous years. I'm planning for my second 100 years of life. The first 100 are already in the bank." This guy sounds awesome. I have this year begun in earnest to learn farming. I have several acres on which I plan to cultivate vegetables, beans, corn, sweet potato, and squash. Several hundred coffee, cacao, lemon, and mango, avocado, and other citrus varieties abound. I have also accumulated a few score of low and medium cost homes in and around Jarabacoa in anticipation of an impending migration of Dominicans and others to escape the cold. At a latitude of 19.5 degrees north, we are on the same parallel as Hilo, Hawaii. Not too shabby. The Goldilocks zone, I think. I keep up with you, Christian, Dave, Dutch Since, and others daily, and I appreciate and respect your efforts. Please Google Hada Bacoa to see why we say God is everywhere during the day, but comes home to Hada Bacoa each night to sleep. Hada Bacoa truly is La Hamaca de Dios. And thank you, David Young, for that essay on what you're doing to prepare. Guys, you should be getting seeds. Seeds last a long time if you keep them in the cool. You can freeze them, but it's not necessary. But I recommend you keep them in a cool, dark place, in a nice airtight container away from humidity. And these seeds can store for decades if done correctly. Now, the final essay is from Derrick Freeman, who I'm going to be sending a copy of Cold Times. His essay was excellent. And Derrick says, keeping an eye on the global interactions between intersolar and interstellar effects have been one of my passions. I went to college during the 90s and studied engineering and math. My major was mathematics with a minor in astrophysics. I've long felt a calling to this aspect of the sciences. I enjoy your videos and will keep watching until you get compromised. There comes a time in a human being's life when the truth overpowers the lies of wishful thinking. It is, though, unfortunate that this only seems to happen when the only choice is the truth. Most people here on this plane of existence want to just live. It's almost the mantra of our times. Technology is high, trinkets and cheap energy are abundant. People seem to walk about in a transitional state of reality and fantasy. We have, for the most part, lost the ability to care for ourselves. And that's true. Technology is the downward of our society and our culture in America. For many years, I've listened to talking heads spew BS about how the Illuminati was preparing to destroy most of the world's population with a grain of salt. I followed the rabbit hole. Yet almost every year seemed to crescendo into a fall surprise or a spring rise of terror, which was all corporate funded. By the way, if you follow the money, this was all a ruse, in my opinion, to keep our focus on the false problems, to keep the panic to a minimum and the fear to a maximum. Even now, with many waking to the idea of change in Earth, the truth is conveniently overlooked. We as a race, as a society, and even as a tribe, which we really do not have any longer, have lost the ability to notice the signs, God-given, that things have gone awry. As mentioned earlier, once the climate started to change, a huge influx of videos, blogs, and websites have inundated the web with a million theories, mostly coming from people who are just scared and do not have a clue except what they find on the internet. It seems fear has once again controlled the information we hear, process, and even allow ourselves to understand. I will, in the next few paragraphs, attempt to give known facts, observable evidence, and conclusions based on those facts. So go take a crap now and be warned this information is not easy to digest. Number 1, our magnetosphere is shrinking. This is observable. Daytime sun is far hotter on objects and skin than the air temperature. Increase of radiation entering our atmosphere. Number 2, the moon is out of orbit. Observable. Go outside for 2 months and follow the path of the moon. Noted on Facebook or in a journal, historic moon path is very close to the path of the sun. The lighted disk of the moon should show in the direction of the movement of the moon across the sky in conjunction with the ecliptic. It no longer follows these laws. Set early in ancient times and logged by Tycho Brahe, put together by Johannes Kepler. Number 3, tidal anomalies have been stunning the world for the last 12 months. Number 4, animal die-offs. Number 5, intense cold. Number 6, dry periods in some areas and wet periods in others. Number 7, increased out of control fires. Number 8, crop failures due to multiple reasons. Number 9, ocean salinity changes, freezing ocean waters. And number 10, hurricanes hitting Europe. The number of observable oddities could take a few pages, if not more, to list, though it will suffice to put a small understanding together. Though it will take a little information on some of these to bring an understanding that they all may emanate from the same process. Though it is not impossible to gather information on your own on the magnetosphere, it surely is expensive and difficult without the proper equipment. We do know, however, that the magnetosphere is responsible for the deflection of radiation and charged particles from the sun. So the magnetosphere allows humans and animals alike to roam about during the daylight hours, bringing heat and light, which in turn brings abundance and life, as we know it. If this layer of our atmosphere shrinks, we enter a more hostile environment, affecting almost everything on our planet in a huge way, especially the climate. Now I could continue reading this essay, and it is long, but I'm going to finish the video with a few points. And those being that proper prior planning does prevent piss poor performance. So start stocking up on dry goods. And if you don't even know where to begin, I'm going to leave you links to these articles. My top 10 prepping supplies. This is including a bug out bag and other things to get you through a catastrophic emergency. And here, critical supplies to hoard. These are non-food. The 37 prepping supplies to hoard before a crisis. This list will get you started, including aspirin, baking soda, unscented bleach, laundry detergent, Bic lighters, buckets and lids, can openers, seasoned wood, charcoal, matches, and on and on. And you can always start buying canned goods. That's a heads up. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. Thank you for sending me all of your essays. I hope I didn't bore you. The time is now. If you want to survive and thrive in the coming times, you need to start reading up. You need to start learning about ancient ways, wild crafting, native plants. Start buying canned goods. Learn about farming. Buy some seeds. Make a mistake. You won't survive unless you learn how to survive and thrive. And proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Be safe, everybody.